So let's put together our domain controller, and one of the things that we'll need for that is our static IP address. So I'm using Control Home here to bring up um, the menu. There it is. And go to Preferences and Network, and I can see here that I've got my cyber range. So there are three controls here that we can look at. This one here will allow us to check out the network. And you can see this is the DHCP one. So because we're doing domain controller, we need a static configuration. So I do my Control Home. I get my menu back and go to Preferences, Network, and then I can use some of the other controls here. This one here to create a new one. There's a plus to add and a minus to delete. So if you mess it up, you can always add or delete until you get it right. So here's my NAT network. I just added the new one, but we're going to change that. I'm going to call it static. I don't want DHCP here because it might assign an address that I already statically assigned. And then I say OK for that. And then let's go back to the menu. We basically created the network in the manager. And now what we want to do is we want to select it for the machine. So now that I've added it, if I go back to network, right now we're on the NAT network. So here are the options. I can now choose the new static network. So now it's just a matter of going into our configuration, the server manager. And here we can configure the local server. And the next step here would be to add roles and features. And this is where we trick out our server. Most of this is just going to be hitting next. Role-based, feature-based, you can see it's already selected. We just hit next. Here you can see the current IP address of the server, and that's fine for now. And what I can do is select DNS server. Actually, it's not fine for now. I have to change the IP address. I want to make sure that it is static before I go too much further. So let me cancel out of that. Go to Network Connections. I'm going to take out version 6 TCP/IP because I don't need it, and we don't need the traffic, although that's not really a deal. We don't have to worry about that. I'm going to put in the IP address in our range, 10.02. My server is going to be at 100, and then I'll use like numbers after 110 to be the workstations. The subnet mask. And make sure you get that right. 255, 255, 255.0. The default gateway. Zero dot 2.1. And for the DNS, we can kind of cheat here and look at the one that's already installed. So if you don't know it, you can use our favorite command, ipconfig/all, to get all the details. And you can see here the DNS server is set to 192.168.1.1. Yours could be different. And if it is, you want to make sure that you type in yours and not mine. Let's see if I can put this off to the side here. Okay, so where's my DNS? There it is right there, this guy here. I want it to display just below, so when I select the other one, I can still see it. That way there's no mistake, right? 192.168, private class C address, 1.1. And there we go. This part here configures the network. And this part here lets us get to the internet by using the domain name service. So we'll say OK. We'll close that. And you can see down here the network icon is adjusting here. It restarted it. It was yellow and now it's back. We can use Internet Explorer on the server. This is a little bit more touchy because there's higher security. You notice the enhanced security configuration. But all we have to do is, we're not actually going to use this. We just need to make sure that we can get to Google. And so that, because we're not using this every day, we don't have to go through and enable this. We can just close the boxes and let it come through. So this is the cool thing here, is that I got the internet. You can see that I'm 10.2.5, or I was. And now if I use the up arrow to get that command back, I can hit enter. And you can see now that I'm on 10.0.2.100, which is the IP address that I wanted. So we're good to go. We can connect to the internet before we start. So the server manager, go back to add roles, next, next. There's our server. It's still got this IP address in here, and I'm going to take the risk and install it and hope that it makes the correction. You can see the danger here. If it's got the wrong IP embedded in the DNS, then the DNS isn't going to function properly. But in order to get this video out, I'm just going to go through it. You would want to make sure that you have that and reboot if necessary. I'm going to live dangerously here and just do it. All right, so the role that I want is the Active Directory domain services. You can see it's going to add a lot of other things when I do this feature. The wizards are great because it makes sure you get everything. And then the one thing you need to do is you need to install the DNS. Those two go together. Yeah, see, no static IP addresses were found. That's the problem I was worried about. So I'm going to reboot my computer and then we'll try again. So I'm back here, and you can see now that it actually has the static IP address that I had. Remember, before that was assigned through DHCP, and the DNS has to have the static. So I'm going to add Active Directory domain services, add those features. And the most critical here, DNS server, add those features. Now we're good to go. So I can just next through this, next again, and then we're going to install. I'll let this run and I'll come back when that's finished. So you can see here the blue bar, the train, crossed the track, made it all the way across, and it said the installation succeeded. And then now I can close that. That was there from before, from when I rebooted. And we're set. The next thing that we need to do is we need to go into our task list here, and we need to promote the domain controller. Promote this server to domain controller. So we installed the role, and now what we need to do is we need to put in the domain controller to promote it so it can be the domain controller. Once again, it did some stuff here. Add the domain controller. For the domain, I'm going to use target.com. wait a second. We're going to create a forest. Microsoft has forests, and then domain controllers fit inside the forest, and the root is going to be target.com. You can have many domains in the forest, but there's only one root. It's asking me for my password, or it will when it finishes here. So I'm going to pause this until it's finished, going across that line. All right, that took a minute or two, and that'll change depending upon the speed of your computer and what it happens to be doing at the moment. I'm putting in the password. I'm using the same administrator passcode that I have for the server. I'd recommend that you put in the same one. It seems to me that it has to be, but I know that this works, so we'll do that. Okay, so we're getting messages here about delegation DNS, but a lot of that has to do for the larger environment with thousands of computers. So it was yellow, that message, not like a red. I'll get back to you when this finishes processing. That was quick, so I'm going to hit next. Here are our special folders and stuff. This is the sysvol where we can get our SAM database. So those folders are important. I'm just nexting through. All right, so we have more advisory messages, and we don't need to look at those. We can just do the install. I should mention that last step took a few more minutes than I thought it would. So you'll have to expect delays. Okay, so that last little piece took a long time to cycle through, and then it restarted the server. So that's what's happening now. So that piece in the install, it took longer than usual to reboot and start up. You'll see now that I have the target domain and administrator, and that's the spelling, target domain and then /administrator. This makes this account now a domain administrator account. So I put in my password. And once I got the password right, it comes right up. So the proof is in the pudding. Do we have a domain controller? I can come into this machine here, and I'll need to first put it on the new static network. And then I need to go in and fix the IP configuration. You can see I'm using the address from NAT. So I go to Network Connections, right-click on the adapter, Properties, I could take off IP6, but I'm trying to get this done quickly. 10, 10.0.2.0. Whoop. This is going to be 111, the first workstation after 110. 255, 255. The default gateway is the VBox adapter at 10.0.21. And the DNS is going to be the server we just created, right? If we're going to find our server, then we need to use that IP address. And this would be the static IP address that we gave to the system, to the domain controller, 100. Now the adapter should restart.